So today we're going to have a pretty extended conversation about fear. I don't need to tell you that if you've been experiencing back pain for any length of time, then fear is one of your best friends. And there's many, many fears that are quite naturally associated with back pain. So today I'd like to talk about what some of the common ones are. I would like you to know that it's really natural to feel fear. I would like you to understand that even though it's natural, it's not helping. And I'd like to give you a few ideas on how to alchemize that fear and to almost take the energy of it, because every emotion is energy in motion. Take the energy of the fear and use it to fuel you towards your own development, which is a healed self, which is who you are already. We just have these thoughts, feelings, habits that are keeping us more often in a pain self rather than our highest version of self. So let's talk about some of the common fears of back pain. I've sort of taken time to list my top 10, the ones I come across the most with clients over 20 plus years, 25, 28. I keep forgetting now, it's probably up to 29 years of working with people in stubborn pain. You definitely see patterns. Whilst every pain is unique, every pain experience is as unique as the people that we are, the fears tend to be common. So let's talk about some of the top 10. I've listed them here, so excuse me if I look like I'm reading. First up, the fear of losing independence. Back pain can make simple tasks challenging, and people often fear becoming dependent on those around them for their daily activities like dressing, cooking, or even walking. Number two, I've got the fear of never getting better. That's a frightening concept. When you're in pain, thinking this is how it's going to be, ha, that's like enough within me to induce a fight, flight, or freeze response. It's a very common one. Fear of disability. People with stubborn back pain might worry that their condition will worsen to the point where they can't do what they want to do anymore. They can't walk, they can't engage in the hobbies and the sports that they love, or they can't care for themselves. So the fear of disability. The fear of surgery. If your conservative treatments aren't working, then you may feel you're headed for surgery. And there's a hell of a lot of fear that comes with surgery. We've all heard those very non-helpful stories from people who love to share their disastrous experiences with surgery. Doesn't help people. I have a lot of thoughts on surgery. It's one tool in the box, but the box for tools that can help with chronic back pain are growing all the time. So fear of surgery is a real fear, particularly the fear of the complications associated with the surgery. There's a fear, top number 5 I've listed is a fear of opioid dependency. And this is a valid, real fear, or a fear of alcoholic dependency, I'll put in this category. When you're prescribed strong pain meds, you worry about becoming addicted to them and you worry about the side effects of them. People worry about the cognitive impairment associated with them. Fear of re-injury. There's often a constant fear of doing something that might aggravate or re-injure your back, which can lead to avoidance of any physical activity and a fear of social interaction. Number 7, I've got a fear of the impact on relationships. We all know that the persistent pain can put a strain on our relationships, uh, and some fear that the pain will drive their loved ones away and it will lead to emotional isolation. Number 8, I've got a fear of emotional or mental health decline. Living with persistent pain can lead to depression, anxiety, and feelings of frustration. And many people fear that the toll it will take on their mental well-being is significant. And in fact, it lots of the time is significant, to the point where it requires secondary medication, secondary treatment. A fear of not being taken seriously is another one I see often. Some people with back pain feel that others may dismiss their suffering as exaggeration or as a result of weakness, especially when there's no obvious signs of injury. Number 10, and look, honestly, the more I'm talking, I can come up with probably another 15 or 20, but I just wanted to share, get us all in the same page and help people understand that the fears are many, the fears are diverse, the fears are real. Final one I've got is a fear of losing a sense of identity. So many people tie their self-worth and their identity to their physical capacity. And the loss of function due to the pain can lead to a fear of losing who they are, particularly in professional or social contexts. You know, for instance, if I'm a runner and my back pain gets in the way of my running and I can no longer run, then there's a whole loss of that identity as a runner, and it affects who I can hang out with. It affects my whole lifestyle, my whole routine, but most importantly, my whole sense of who I am. If I'm not a runner, who am I now? And in that question becomes a lot of fear. And it really sums up that all of these fears can be boiled down to a fear of the unknown, a fear of not knowing. There's no certainty in any of it. And without certainty, whenever anything is unfamiliar, unpredictable, or feels like it's out of our control, it's a fear of the unknown. Many of our basic fears boil down to the fear of the unknown and not knowing. And we all experience fear in very different contexts. And the idea of today is talk about the fears of back pain. So the first thing I want you to know is that they're many, they're varied, they're real, and you would not be normal if you weren't experiencing them. So with that, what do we do with that? We can't just say ignore it. We can. You can, and some people are better at that than others. But what I'd like to do today is give you some strategies for how to navigate or alchemize these fears, because any emotion has energy in it. And if we can take that energy and use it as fuel, getting us to where we want to be faster, then why not do that? So the first thing I invite you to do is to notice how you catch fear. Are you aware enough to catch the fearful thought? Or are you more aware of your behavior and notice you're avoiding things? Or are you more aware of how it feels in your body? So I want you just to take a minute and pause and think of something you're avoiding, something you're fearing, and notice for you, is it more of a mental construct, a thought, or is it more of a emotional contraction somewhere in your body? Or is it more that you've had people around you draw your attention to it, some behavior or some action that you're not doing that you could possibly be doing? Because some of us are potentially more mental, Some of us are more somatic or body orientated, and some of us are just really unaware, full stop. And we rely on the feedback from those around us to help us know what we're doing. So, I get to know yourself. Is it my mind playing tricks on me? Is it my body that's addicted to these feelings? Or is it that I'm just getting feedback from all around me that there's some habits I'm taking that aren't working for me? And then with that, we can dictate how we approach the fear. If you are noticing it's a thought, then there's two processes actually. There's two processes I'm going to go into here. One is directed more towards those of us that are thinkers and perhaps more mental. And the second process is going to be a little bit more of a somatic approach for those that find coming into our body quite easy. Let's talk about the first technique. So let's say you catch a fearful thought. I'm not going to be able to walk ever again. That's a scary thought. And when you think it, try and notice what you feel in your body. There will be some reaction. Usually it's a contraction. It's a shortening, elevating of the breath, shallow breath, a little bit more rapid. It may be that little gut grip. It may be a clench of your butt, it may be a clench of your jaw. There'll be a somatic reaction, even if you're not aware of it. And in that moment that you catch these fears, I want you to know that the reactions of our body are simply inviting us to notice that we've entered a fear state. And I want you to think about that in the moment as a phone call. I want you to hear ring, 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 ring. I want you to imagine a phone call from your higher self coming to you in that moment. It's ringing you to say, whatever you're thinking about right now, whatever you're doing, whatever you're feeling is not who you are. It's not who you are. It's your smaller, egocentric human self that's thinking on, focusing, noticing, or doing something that's not aligned with the greater part of who you are. So hear the phone call in the moment. Ring, 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 ring. This is a method actually shared by a great coach I follow online called Lenka Lutanoska. She's great. I love her. She has so many ideas about business, basically. But I often find most of what we need to learn to grow or excel in athletic pursuits or business relate to healing back pain. It's all the same stuff. It doesn't matter. The techniques and things we learn to get our back better are things that we can learn to make our relationships better, to make us better physical performers, better business performers. It's all the same stuff. I feel like my job is just to take it and break it down for you in pain and help you on the process to become more of who you wish to be. So those awarenesses that we've entered a fear state, boom, in that moment, I want you to hear ring, 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 and see the higher version of yourself ringing you in that moment to say, what you're thinking about is not true. What you're feeling is not true for your situation. Feels true. What you're doing right now is not useful. And then pause, because all of that is just feedback. Pause. And in the stimulus and response, we have that pause, and that's where our power lies. And since our body's communicated to us that And our emotional state has communicated to us that what we're feeling is not who we are. It's not true. It's a construct. So since it's not true, since I'm receiving all this feedback that it's not true, what is true? What's the opposite? And then we entertain the idea of the opposite. So if our fear of I may not be able to ever walk again, all of that goes on in our body and our mind and our jaw and our butt and wherever else that we feel a reaction to that, that's the feedback. So whenever you notice that, you know that it's not true. It's just a reaction to a fear. And so pause, breathe into the fear, be still, be present with it because it's an opportunity. Don't miss it. Since this is not true, what is true for me? What's the opposite of this? I will be able to walk when I heal. I will be able to shift this situation. And in that moment, my body does know what it's doing. I'm simply getting in its way by entering these little cycles of thinking or feeling or behaving that aren't serving me. And so, therefore, the fear is really that phone call that helps you know, helps you receive a greater download of input of something more empowering from a version of yourself that's not feeling it. So that's the first technique. And sometimes it's good to write the fear down. When we write it and we look at it and notice our reaction to that thought, then we can pause and we can ask, what's the opposite? Is that also true? And then go to find evidence for it. Write down how the opposite is also true. This is the work of Katie Byron. I go more into it in the course. So there'll be a bit of practice, a bit of repetition within this video. But there's methods, is what I want you to know. Fear and anxiety is not something you have to medicate away. You can, but I don't think medication takes away the thought. I don't think medication takes away the feeling. It may numb you, but in the numbing, I'm not sure you're really going to be able to do what's required to shift these things, to rearrange them, to tweak them. And there may be space for these medications when we're really feeling it to give ourselves a break, to give our bodies a break. But at some point, there's going to have to be some skills built, some tools developed that are going to help you with your fear response in life in general, not just for your back pain. When we can truly love to recognize fear for what it really is, we have power. Most people will feel fear and run a mile, and they'll stay in it. It takes true courage to look at your fears, to disarm them, to recognize you have choices. And on the other side of developing those skills is true power. Another process which I use frequently is more of a meditative, I would call it somatic meditative process. And if I feel fear, which I do a lot, I think whenever we're stretching and growing, we feel fear, we feel anxiety. It's part of becoming more. To step outside of our default neural network requires a bit of stretch, a bit of resistance, a bit of discomfort. So another technique which you may like, and let's stick with the same example. Let's look at that fear of not being able to walk again. Actually, let's choose a different one. Let's do fear of the impact this pain's having on your relationships and that they may run away and leave you. Let's look at that one. So if we stop, we catch it. I'll invite you now. Let's do it. I'm going to invite you now to pause. Try and think of a fear that's real for you in your situation. If you like, close your eyes. Feel into your body. Feel your feet on the earth. Feel whatever's supporting you now, if it's a chair, if it's a seat. Feel that support against your back, against your legs. And as you breathe, simply start to really notice that contact of your feet into the earth. Visualize your energetic roots reaching down into the ground, into Mother. Feel her energy. Feel the support. Just know that you're not in this alone. Feel that energetic anchoring. And then I want you to visualize a big column of light. Make it whatever color intuitively feels right for you. I'm going to say yellow today, a golden light. Picture a golden column of light extending from your feet, from the earth, right up through your spine. Your spine's an antenna for energy. Picture that column of light coming right up through your spine, through your neck, through your head, and stretching up into the clouds, up into the sky. Keep breathing, keep visualizing. And then I want you to step into that column of light, enter it, be in it, flood it, go in, step forward into that column of energy so that it completely encapsulates you. And then I want you to simply ascend in that column, rise, let it take you. Let it take you up and up and up. See yourself internally rising out of your body, ascending. See yourself detaching from your physical body, from all the entangled thoughts, processes, pain that's going on in that little situation down there. Look down on it. Keep rising. Keep seeing that become smaller and smaller. Keep ascending. Imagine yourself with each breath simply elevating and rising like a balloon, just simply ascending higher and higher and higher. I want you just to take a moment to notice how you feel in this space. There's space all around you now. You're not limited to a physical body. You're limitless. You can see all around. It's a 360-degree view from up here. You're not confined by a body. You're free. You can zoom. You can look. You're light. You're spacious. And I want you to take a little bit of the cloud. Imagine you're right near a cloud. Take a little bit of the cloud, bring it towards you and use it like clay. Start to play with it. Play with it with your hands, mold it, shape it, and simply create the opposite of your fear. If your fear is that your loved ones are going to leave you, then create a picture where you see them doing the opposite, where you see them leaning in towards you, where you see them loving you in all your imperfections, in all your vulnerabilities, deeper, more. See them smiling with you, seeing the lighter version of it all. Feel them hugging you. Know that you are loved and supported, whatever that looks like for you, whatever you want it to look like. This is where you get to be the shapeshifter, the clay maker. Get clear, keep playing. Use your hands if you wish to. Use your vision if you wish to. Bring it all into this circular ball of cloud energy. And then what I want you to do, I want you to drop it. Drop it right down onto that situation you've pulled yourself away from. Send that pure, loving, clear version of energy down into your situation. Infuse that situation with this higher energy from above. Drop it. Just send it down. And breathe. And know that in that process, you've become really clear about what you want. You can hang out up here as often as you like, for as long as you like. And when you're ready, you're simply going to get back in your column of energy. You're going to slowly descend, slowly come back down through the clouds, slowly, slowly coming back down into your body until you feel you've landed again in this body of yours. Feel your feet, feel the support, and breathe fully and expand fully in every direction with your breath if you can. And what you just did was alchemize your own fear. You felt it. You made a decision to detach from it, to rise into another version, to feel some different things, to let go of it all, to perceive it for what it is, which is a 3D world, thought, mental, emotional construct that's not even real. Hopefully from that higher perspective, you could see it wasn't real. You could entertain the idea of some other possibilities. And then you played with some energy. You threw that energy down on that situation. You embodied what it's like to not have that problem, to not have that fear. And then you came back down. And the whole process probably took a few minutes. Hopefully you feel something shifted. At the very least, you got some relief from that fear for a few minutes. And fear creates a chemical cocktail in our blood of adrenaline, cortisol, all the curses, all the precursors to inflammation. So on a purely biochemical level, we need to appreciate that fear does not help us. It hinders our inflammatory response. It hinders the physical healing capacity of our cells. So we simply need to have some ideas for how we're going to process it. And I hope that's a useful one. So I've just shared two. There's plenty more. You can trust that if you want to, you'll find a process that works for you. But the invitation is to acknowledge that fear is a real part of a back pain experience, and they need treating just as much as your physical body. Your body responds to the thinking and the feeling within you. And if you're not optimizing your thinking, challenging some thoughts, if you're not treating the emotions that you're hanging out in a lot of the time, then nothing's shifting, nothing changes. You can come at the physical body from every angle. Sometimes getting a body physically stronger feeds up the chain and we feel naturally better, we think better, and there's relief in simply the doing part. But if you're stuck, which I see a lot of people in pain stuck, then it may be better for you to start with the mental and the emotional ideas. Hope that helps. Hope it really does help. Because if no one's told you today, you are not your back pain. You are more than that. The back pain is simply an invitation to learn some new things, to see some different perspectives. Takes courage, but who you are is not your back pain. May feel like it. It really may feel like it, but it's not who you are. And you are capable of becoming more, and you are capable of ascending beyond this current situation. As always, reach out. The Bulletproof Backs method is about helping you see the pain from different perspectives. I've got the book. It's available at the website, www.bulletproofbacks.com. I've got coaches available for support once you access our course. I've got a free mini course, and we've got the more extended 6-week Build a Bulletproof Backs course. Got the podcast, got the Ask a Physio question on YouTube. There's many, many ways to access this shift in consciousness, which is what I'm inviting you to have. I hope that helps. Sincerely, I wish you well on your journey.